on? Bit of a week this week, guys. If you've been following on our social media, you would have seen us share quite a few updates from Merseyside Fire and Rescue Service. Essentially, we've had a massive fire exceptionally close to our facility. We are in the outskirts of Liverpool, in a place called Huyton. Within Huyton, there's a very large industrial estate, as you would find anywhere else in Britain. These things are in every town and city everywhere, and they're a hub for smaller businesses, independent businesses. That's where everyone operates. That's where everyone works from. Typically speaking, in a very small area, there's a large concentration of independent businesses who operate and do a magnitude of different things. Where we are, obviously we're a strap company, you guys know that. Immediately behind us, we had a recycling plant. That recycling plant didn't deal with household waste or things from the council or the city. It was commercial. So if you're a business and you've got waste, that's where it would go. I don't quite understand the circumstances surrounding it yet. The investigation is ongoing, but fundamentally what happened was there was an awful lot of refuse that had built up over a period of time that basically got into a position where it caught fire. We're talking a fire probably the size of 100 meters by 100 meters. It was massive, absolutely massive. I got a phone call in the evening. We'd been at work all day, cracking on, doing our thing. Gone home, sat down, had dinner with the kids and the wife, etc. And I was just sort of starting to relax in the garden. It was a nice evening, and the phone rang. One of my buddies was out on a run, and he ran past our unit and saw plumes of smoke coming from behind it. He called me. Basically said, I think your unit's on fire. You need to get around here. Someone else was there at the time. They said that the fire brigade had been alerted. So as you can imagine, I was straight in the car and straight around there. My heart was in my throat, fundamentally. 5 years I've been building the business. We started in my box room 5 years ago, and with a sewing machine I picked up on eBay. And as many of you know, this was never meant to be a business. It was meant to allow me to make things for myself, but it snowballed. So over the last 5 years, we've gone through massive growth, massive opportunities, rolling the dice as you do when you have your own company, and constantly going all in on myself and my team. And thankfully, through your support, more than anything, we've gone from strength to strength. So when that phone call came in, it was some fun. Got in the car, headed round. Probably at Mach 2. I shouldn't have been driving as quickly as I was. It was safe, but yeah. As you can imagine, my heart rate was going. Got there, and he was right. He was stood there. There was plumes and plumes of smoke, thick, black, dense smoke coming from behind the unit. And as I arrived, so did a number of fire engines and assets, essentially from the Fire and Rescue Service. Thankfully, we have a phenomenal fire and rescue service within Liverpool. Merseyside Fire and Rescue are epic. They're awesome, exceptionally well equipped, well trained, and professional people. But that particular fire needed 2 different fire services to attend. The vicinity we're in, or the county or the city we're in, is Liverpool. That comes under Merseyside. The neighbouring area is Chester. So Chester actually deployed assets to it as well. I'm told there were 2 different fire services involved, Chester and Merseyside. Over 10 stations or firehouses, depending on which side of the Atlantic you're on, attended, and over 20 assets. That includes aerial assets, that includes cranes, fire engines, all sorts of different things. And they fought that fire for days and days. They're still on site now. We've got diggers there and have been there for the last few days. Like big trucks, JCBs, moving the rubble around, finding pockets. It's very much contained now, but they're still on site. They're still fighting the fight, as it were. That's basically the last week. It's been mental. I was on site, as I mentioned, when these units turned up, and fundamentally they had three angles covered of that fire at that time, and they needed a fourth. Our building would give them access to the fourth side that they didn't have access to, and so we opened our shutters. We rolled the hoses through. I say we, it wasn't we. They rolled the hoses through, and went out the back end of our building through our fire exits and fought it from that side. And that, as you can imagine, has impeded our ability to operate, to be in work, to make straps, to do what we do. They've been on site for 7 days yesterday, and they basically started to withdraw their assets, from our premises, from our land, as it were, yesterday. They are still around the fire in different areas, but they're not necessarily on our site anymore. I'm following a few air tests, air quality tests, check there's no nasties in the air, things that could harm the team. We got the green light to open today. So I've rocked up this morning and basically opened up and tried to catch up. The last week we haven't been able to do anything. The call came in, there's plumes of smoke coming up from the back of the building, fire brigade are immediately on site, and the focus was on saving the building and giving them everything they needed to have in order to do that. So we had no access to the facility, no access to our IT. Laptops are in there, all of our kit and equipment, all of our machinery, all of our stock, buckles, webbing, leather, everything was in there. And for the 7 days, they were valiantly fighting that fire through our premises. So what did that mean for us? Essentially, we had no access. We couldn't really stay on top of our communications channels. So if you guys have emailed us, apologies. We are desperately trying to come, work through that pile and get in touch with you guys. We couldn't really ship or get stock out or ship orders. Again, I tried to share this message as much as I could through our social media platforms, but with the limited resources at hand, there was only so much we could do. But we're back at it today, and we're making stuff happen. So where does that leave us? Where are we at this point in time? So we're playing catch up, essentially. We have multiple avenues to our business. There's more or less 3 different layers or 3 different departments within ZA. ZA is the main company, obviously, but we have 3 different routes into market that we operate on. The first and oldest one is the website. That's your orders. You jump on our website, you place your orders, we take them, we make them, we ship them. Naturally, there's a backlog there now. We're frantically trying to catch up with that. The next avenue is corporate work. As you guys know, there are many brands that we do business with, we supply straps for. That's obviously, we've lost a lot of time on production with that. And the third avenue are things that we do for the MOD. Now we supply, as you know, certain products to various units in or around the UK. Again, that's had to be on ice. So essentially we've lost a week of production, which I know a number of you are business owners and you know the impact that has. So we're desperately and frantically trying to play catch up. So hopefully we're going to be in a position by hook or by crook over the next few days where we've caught up with the website orders and you guys aren't waiting any longer than you absolutely have to be to get your pieces out to you. But we've also had to manage and maintain the conversations and relationships, not only with our corporate clients, but with the defense side of the house that we also deal with. But essentially it's left us or put us in a position where we do have some stock that is smoke damaged. Now, smoke damage is it's a very broad term. So what do I mean by that? as I mentioned, the fibre gate turned up. They entered into our loading bays, ran their hoses through our building and fought the fire from our fire exits. That's how it went. Now, they were there for days doing this, fighting an active fire with plumes of smoke everywhere. Luckily, our unit is more or less a sealed unit inside a larger building, so we were protected from a lot of it. However, there are things like odor that you just can't protect against. When we make our fabrics, our webbings, or when we buy leather and we buy items or pieces, the pieces of the puzzle that come together to make the final product, most of those things come in sealed containers, packaging, plastic wrapping, paper wrapping, etc. So we've managed to save quite a bit of it. But when we're working on, let's say 20mm black, on a standard strap, 20mm black, we will produce that, as we chatted about a few weeks back with Eddie, in a fairly large quantity, and it will come to us in a sealed bag. Naturally, we have orders through the website, as we've mentioned, so we take one roll out and we operate off that roll. That roll is out. The rest of it, thank God, has been sealed up and kept safe. But the roll that was out has picked up a bit of an odor, a bit of a funk. It's not damaged the integrity of the strap. It hasn't damaged the color, the feel, anything other really than the smell of it. It's not foul. It's not putrid. But it's obviously not brand new, and it's not the way it should be. So what do we do? Where do we go from there? So we've made a decision that whatever we have that has succumbed to that odor needs to be listed on a website as smoke damaged. It's not going to have really any impact on the final product, where it's wearability, etc. But it is going to have a little funk to it. If you're like me, I wear my fabric straps in the shower. More than happy to throw them under the tap and give them a little clean off. There's no issue. You're not going to have any dramas. But what it will allow you guys to do is pick up some pieces that perhaps have been cost prohibitive on certain items that you fancy picking up for a while. And it'll give you access into the brand. Also, if you've been sat on the fence for a while and thinking, I kind of like what they're doing, but they're a little expensive. We make stuff in Britain. That's just part of the course, unfortunately. So that's going to be happening. What we're going to do with that is we're going to build a page on the website for smoke damaged items. Now, we're not going to send you anything out that's horrendous. Thankfully, we didn't have anything really that was horrendous. But it's not up to the standards we'd set ourselves for a full price product. But it's also too good to discard and throw away. So that's the plan. So by the time this goes out, you will have a section on the website if you want to head over and check that out. It'll be listed under smoke damaged. So if you do a search or on the drop down bars, find that page, you will have access to a number of fabric and leather goods that have fallen into that category that you can pick up at reduced rates. The stock will last as long as the stock lasts. I can't commit to any length of time there. We have what we have in good stuff, and we have what we have in the smelly stuff, as it were, like a better term. And that's available, and that will be available until we run out of it, and then we revert back to factory settings and we crack on and do our thing and go from there. So essentially, moving forward, we're back in the game, thankfully. Like a lot of you, I'm not one to be sat round. I can't do that. Neither can the guys in the team. We've all been chomping at the bit to get back at it. We like what we do. We enjoy what we do. We've got a good team and a nice business. We're all emotionally invested in the brand and what we're up to. So it's been frustrating, massively frustrating. Almost like feel like a racehorse that's just been sort of tied at the legs for the last week, where we're just raring to go. But we just can't. It's completely and utterly crippled us. So we are back in the game, thank God. We're back where we should be operating. We're playing catch up for the minute. We're going to be pulling some double shifts and working weekends, etc. As time rolls on to make up for the lost time. That's what it is. I'm not going to ask for pity or sympathy on that. We all do it. That's how the world works. But bear with us. Allow us, as you have in your good graces, the opportunity to catch up with a little bit of lost time that we've had to deal with, and we will be firing on all cylinders in the next few weeks. Moving forward, I'm excited to get back at it and make stuff happen, but I also think we're going to be looking at potentially a different facility coming up. As a business owner, I have to mitigate my risk where I can, and for those of you who've been following us for a while, you'll know that this isn't the first disaster we've encountered in our current location. Last year there was a fairly sizable flood, and I don't know what to expect next. Maybe locusts. I haven't got a clue. But I'm going to try and avert that disaster if I can, and try and stay more or less in the local area. We're part of that community, but try and find somewhere where we're a little bit more sheltered. So yeah, that's the plan. Coming up, we will have more guests coming in and having conversations. We're also going to start doing now an awful lot more of the international stuff. So we're going to be talking to people on the other side of the Atlantic. Didn't feel right having that conversation today, simply because until this morning, we didn't know whether we were going to be back in work, but we are. So back to normal programming from the next one. But for now, first and foremost, thank you all for backing us. I know the minute we start to share that information, there's a number of you out there jumping on the website straight away and placed orders. That's phenomenal. Thank you for having faith in us. Thank you for backing us in our hour of need. It is greatly, greatly appreciated. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, really do. It was touching. I knew what you were doing. You knew what you were doing. I'm not going to name people, but thank you. It meant the world to us. We're not going anywhere. We live to fight another day. It's just... sometimes you just got to take one on the chin, and it was our turn. So we'll come back stronger, and we'll make stuff happen. So until next time, thank you very much for listening.